Welcome to Fabric Monday. Today we'll talk about source control one more time, but this time I'll talk about another point of view of the source control. Some feature that I'm nicknaming as reverse PBIP. I wrote about source control before. I wrote a full article about source control. But on the entire article, on the entire process, I explained how to start from Power BI desktop and save your work as PBIP and insert into the source control. What if you start on the reverse order? What if you already have the report and the semantic model in a workspace, you link them to the source control, and then you clone the repository to your local machine? How will you open that report and dataset? Let's discover how to do this. Here we have a Power BI workspace, and this Power BI workspace is linked to a source control repository. I have here a lakehouse, and I have one semantic model and one report. The view works, the inventory works, one semantic model and one report. Let's see what happens when I clone this to my local machine and I try to open it in Power BI desktop. I use git batch to clone this to my local machine. Git clone. I need to provide here the URL of the repository. I have here the DevOps open, so I'll copy the URL of the repository, get back to the git bash, and paste. So I'm cloning my repository. That's it. So I have a local clone of my repository. Let's take a look on this folder. I have here the folder Malta article, the one that I just cloned, and inside Malta article I have a folder for the report and a folder for the dataset, but I have no PBIP file. There is no PBIP file, and without a PBIP file I can't open this content in Power BI desktop. How I would open the report and dataset on the desktop if I don't have a PBIP file? So I need to create a PBIP file, and the secret is that the PBIP file is very simple to build. This is the structure of a PBIP file. So it's a JSON file pointing to the report folder. Mind that it always points to the report folder. It never points to the dataset. Always points to the report. Would it be possible to create a PBIP pointing only to the dataset? No. It's not possible. You need to point to the report folder. On the report folder there is the PBIR file, the definition of the report. Let's open this PBIR file on Notepad and mind the reference. It points to the dataset. So the PBIP points to the report and the report points to the dataset. It needs to be on this sequence. You can't skip a step and point the PBIP to the dataset. That's important. Let me save this PBIP file on this folder, repos, Malta article, Adventure Works PBIP, save. That's it. Now I have a PBIP file and I can open this PBIP file in Power BI Desktop. The report is very simple, it's a simple label, and I have the semantic model. So I have a file PBIP pointing to the report and semantic model. So it allows me to manage and change this report on the local environment. After making any kind of changes to this report, I can commit this to the Git repository. We just created the PBIP file. Since we just created the file, we need to add this file to the Git for the Git to recognize the file. When we use advanced tools like Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, this is done automatically. But I'm using command prompt, I'm using git bash, so I need to use the git add dot, and it will add all the files, all the new files that I have in the folder. So I'm adding the files, and now I use the commit, git commit m and the message new PBIP. So this is the statement to commit the file. Now the file is committed locally. The next step is to push this file to the remote repository. Git push. So use git push to send the file to the remote repository. And that's it. I created a PBIP and sent the PBIP to my remote repository. You may remind from previous Fabric Monday and from the article about source control I wrote that we should never mesh the branches. Never mesh development with test with production. The movement between the environment is done by the deployment pipeline. I have an article wrote about this, about the movement using deployment pipeline. Let's say that we created this PBIP on the dev environment. How would I make the same for the test environment and for the production environment? I'll need to do one by one. So I did to dev, I need to do again to test, and I need to do again to production. But mind that the PBIP is only needed if I really want to clone that branch to my local machine and be able to open the report and semantic model from that branch. If this is not needed, maybe I don't need this for production, for example, I may not need the PBIP on production. That's it. So we need to create the PBIP on every branch where we need it. Thank you very much for watching and see you next week.